everybody, J.M. Mannion here with the Ifbb Pro League interview series powered by NPCNewsOnline.com. And I'm here with my first men's open bodybuilding competitor, Sergio.
Yes, I love it. Awesome. I'm so honored to be the first open guy. I mean, I can't lie. This makes me feel pretty good.
Yeah, you wrote on there, hey, you need an open guy. How quick did I text you back?
It was very quick.
I read that. I'm like, oh, hold on a second.
Well, I feel like even when we do interviews, whenever we get together, it's just just us talking anyway. So
right,
it's good to catch up too. And I feel like there are people that wanting to know maybe what some open guys are doing, because we're the only ones so far that haven't had a show yet, except for the Arnold.
Exactly.
So, and yeah,
that's what I wanted to talk about. So our last interview was at the Meet the Champions in Columbus, and then you do the contest. Now, let's just talk about how awesome was that when you were posing and Arnold comes up and he does the selfie and everything.
For sure, and I've seen him, I go to every Arnold, so you've seen him do it for other guys. So I knew at some point in my routine I would do it. Just thank God I didn't notice him while I was doing the routine, because then I probably would have broke my routine like Cedric did, when he just starts playing with his hair. Yeah. So I'm glad I didn't notice it, but then now going back and even just the pictures that I've even posted, I just feel like it's different. He's done it for other people before,
right?
But I feel like, I don't know, he was into it on a different level for him. I'm sure it was more personal for him. So yeah, I love it. That whole night, I mean, it really lasted. I mean, my routine's 3 minutes. The speech where I talked to Arnold's maybe less than 5 minutes. We're talking about less than 10 minutes of actual time. And it was just the greatest time of my entire life. And I remember it all, but I don't remember it. It just blew by.
Right. And then whenever you guys all went out into the audience was fun.
Yeah, right. That was actually
right. And then it was perfect. I sent you the pictures. Everybody's coming up the steps, and then you're the one that just you zeroed right in on my camera. Those first shots are a classic.
Yeah, I feel like I always see you in the crowd. I don't ever really see anyone else. I never see my friends or my family, but I can always find you.
Right.
Sure. And that's such a good picture.
A funny part of that is before you guys came back, and there were some of the guys that were like posing in front of Arnold. And Triple H was sitting there, and Arnold had eyeballed me before because he gave me like one of these real quick, right? Literally, somebody stepped in front of Triple H to block view, and all of a sudden, I see this arm go like this, push the guy out of the way, and he goes, "Take the picture," Arnold.
He just moved him out of the way
because he knew the guy was in my. Well, I wouldn't have seen him and Triple H in the picture.
Right. Oh, I love it. He just
that was savage, man.
But he is. He's always so attentive. He's just always on point. He knows what's going on. Right. That's
it's like similar to you, but like he's known me since I was 10 years old. I mean, think about that.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. That was so funny. You just see that arm. Like, get the picture now.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love it. He just strong armed someone for a picture. It's so great.
Yeah. Yeah, it was perfect. Oh, that was so funny. But yeah, I mean that Arnold, I mean, just everything, the statue and the way the lighting was. I mean, I don't know, there was just something, and I told you this. I mean, I don't go out front for a lot of guys to actually go really watch their routines, whenever they're posing, because I've seen 10,000 of them.
I can't imagine. And you've seen literally the best in the world. You've always been peaked, like who's really gonna come out and really spark your interest. So
I mean, listen, I've seen Arnold, I've seen your dad, I've seen Frank Zane, I've seen Franco. I unfortunately never got to see anybody like Larry Scott or anything like that, but I mean, I've been really fortunate to see every Olympia champion, but those, I guess it would just be Larry Scott since I did see your dad. I mean, it's the only one I've never seen.
Wow. That's wild.
Just as we're talking, I just thought about that right now.
Yeah, you're like because there's like the Super Bowl fanatics, they go to every Super Bowl and, they've met every Super Bowl champ or quarterback or whatever. Right. You've almost done that just in your normal life. It's not even on purpose.
Right.
It's wild. Every single Mr. Olympia, but one, the first one.
Yes. Yeah.
Who else can say that? I don't know. Not that many.
No.
I've never even seen my dad flex a muscle in my entire life. I've never seen him on stage before.
Right.
You know, it's just, but I talk about that all the time with just the generations today. Like, it's really hard for them to really appreciate the sport when they've only been alive for a certain amount of time. And then they only really care about the sport for maybe from Jay Cutler on, you know?
Right.
And there's just so much before it that I can't even imagine. I would love to just have everybody before the like 90s generation kind of get together, before there was social media and before there was pictures, really.
Right.
And kind of like fill in those gaps, you know, with stories. And I really got to talk to Arnold a little bit for the first time backstage. Obviously, I've known him my whole life as a kid, but it was different, you know, knowing him as my dad's son was different. This time, he really, like, it sounds so crazy, he looked at me different. He looked at me different, he talked to me different. It was like the first time I felt like I was having a conversation with him and he was having it with just me. It wasn't just like telling me some like stories about my dad, you know, and especially because my dad's passed away too. They only want to tell you about the good stories, you know, but this was the first time I really got to talk to him, and I really feel like it was just a different experience, and I really felt like I belonged up there, and it was really great. I really enjoyed just that time with just him. And
Yeah.
I'd like to, he'd even messaged me too about maybe getting together with him. God knows with Gold's Gym, what's going on up there in Vegas. But to get together, that would be really cool to do something with him. Some like, you know, like a bodybuilding creed. I love that movie. I think that would be really cool to kind of have that dynamic in bodybuilding.
Yeah, that would be really awesome.
But yeah, that night was, thank God though, I was able to do that show, because we really didn't appreciate it. I even said it in my speech. I mean, I said it when we talked at the Meet the Pros. How, well, this is really great. We were able to fight and put the show on and get it together. But now that was the last show, man, it really just makes it so much more sentimental. And like, it makes me take it in way more.
Well, that's what I was saying to somebody when I was at Sacramento this weekend. I'm like, you realize this in Utah are the first pro shows since the Arnold in Columbus? Because I said, if you remember, they only put the Arnold Amateur Australia on. They canceled the pro. And everyone's like, yeah, because they were thinking that Tony put it on. Yeah, well, Tony put the amateur on, not the pro.
Not the pros, right. And I was there, right, exactly.
Right, I know. That's how I was going to talk to you about. You know, the headlines down there. Beach.
I know. Even Tyler was messaging me, dying laughing. Of course, I was on the news out there. But yeah, exactly. But it's really a testament to show what's even going on now too. That I always say that there's like, I said it in my speech at the Arnold, that we're really able to see the real fans of the sport. And I don't mean really just so much the people that attend shows. Sometimes a promoter can be just a huge fan of the sport and really cares about the athletes and really is kind of going above and beyond, where they're not even making money, you know, more money by going out to get these shows on. And that's what they did in Australia too. You know, they got that amateur show on because we're spoiled here in America. I don't think a lot of NPC athletes in America know that Australia, it makes one person pro a year. Right. You know, one, not like one per heavyweight, light, and I'm talking about bodybuilding. It's just one bodybuilder, one men's physique. And this was their one chance. They did all their qualifiers, and then they're about to not be able to go pro. I couldn't even imagine. That'd be like me getting ready for nationals. I qualified for nationals, and then a week before, I can't even go.
They just go, sorry. Yeah.
So that was really great of him to put it on, and just like what's still going on in all these kind of random states that we're getting these shows on, and they're just getting it done. But I don't think the actual competitors know what's really it's taking to get these going. And, you know, Tim is for sure fighting tooth and nail to get this Tampa show on. And a lot of those things just kind of go under the rug because we only just as spectators just see what we see, you know, and not really what goes on to the show. So it's been going on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of promoters are doing whatever they can. Like up in Michigan this weekend, Ramey Berninga couldn't find a venue. So what did he do? He went out and rented a bunch of those big party tents, and he ran the show in the parking lot of his gym.
Wow.
Had the competitors sit in the gym to stay cool. They put stage outside. They brought lights. They had the big party tents out, and they did it. They found a way to do it.
And you can. And this is the only thing that I was like, again, I was so appreciative that I was able to do Ohio, and I'm so glad. But when I was in Australia, except for the people that can't fly in, of course, you know, like Big Ramy was stuck in Dubai, and there was a couple other people. Otherwise, I was like, why can't we have a show with no crowd? My dad and Arnold posed in a hallway with just judges. And I was even saying that when I was in Australia, I was talking to Jay, and I was saying that, man, even if we have to go back to those days, we have to have shows, you know, and it shows us how spoiled we are. You know, we need like a big venue and auditorium seats, and really exactly
Yeah.
back in my dad's day, Arnold switched it from one room to another, you know, because of the lighting. But either way, that's all it was. It was just one room or another.
Now, what he's talking about is the 1972 Mr. Olympia. For those of you that don't have any clue, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I that's my problem. On social media, I talk like everybody knows really the sport. And again, people have to remind me, like, they have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, listen, I was, you know, during all this time, we were laughing. We always laugh because my dad always says, everyone always goes, "Oh, you're Jim Mannion's son, right?" So now I've got all these young, like classic physique guys, men's physique guys, and they're like, "Hey, you're Tyler's dad, aren't you?"
You're never gonna win.
Then last week, I had the ultimate. This guy goes, "Hey, aren't you Cassie's dad?"
Oh my God, that's
My dad was there. He literally almost threw himself on the floor.
He was there? Oh, that makes it even better that he was there to hear that.
Oh my God. He's like, "That's it." He goes, "You have no name anymore."
That's it. I think that's why we've always connected from the beginning, because I knew what you went through, but no, you know what? You take the cake, because at some point someone has to like acknowledge me. You're never gonna win. That's it.
No.
That's hilarious.
Well, it's the like those bikini competitors and stuff, they're all her age.
Oh, right, I get it.
And stuff. But yeah, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're this person, you're Tyler's dad, you're Cassie's dad." I'm like, my dad goes, "Doesn't matter that I named you after me now, because no one's ever gonna know."
It doesn't matter. You could have named him Jim. I mean, you could have named him whatever you wanted. It still would have just been his dad. Oh my God.
And it's been so funny. So yeah, I definitely get the award for that one.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. They need to give you a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Arnold one day. You need to forget it.
Yeah, actually though, it was funny talking about Arnold. I remember Tyler telling me the story where he finally, him and my dad, met Arnold at the firehouse.
Oh.
Like breakfast, lunch one day, right? He's like, "Dad," he goes, "the first 15 minutes," he goes, "all he did was talk about you. Hey, did you realize what your dad does? Do you remember? I know your dad since this." And he goes, "I knew it." He goes, "But to hear it come out of his mouth was a totally different, mindset,
That's interesting, right? That's because I know exactly what he means too, because like when people come talk to me about my dad, obviously I only knew the cop. He was a cop for 30 years. So I never even knew the bodybuilder really, but even just who he was back in the day, when people would come tell me stuff, it like sunk in a little bit different than like if a stranger was telling me it, than really someone I knew telling me about how my dad was. So right, it's weird. It goes in one ear out the other, and it's just like, yeah. But then if it's like someone you kind of like look up to and maybe been following for a long period of time, it's like, wait a minute. Yeah, exactly. I get it. It's so
well, that's why when I started doing these throwback pictures on social media, I had to put the picture of the 10-year-old me with Arnold.
Yeah, so great.
It's my entire life, right? And so I had the validation. I had the actual picture.
Yeah.
I swear, and then everyone was like, "Oh yeah, you really have known him forever." I'm like, and I've got pictures over the years with him like that.
Well, right, and you're so unfazed to it too. My dad would do the same thing too. I found out one time my dad knew Oprah, and it was just like, yeah, he knows Oprah. He knew Castro. Like it's just nothing. These people are just kind of like people where to us it's like, oh my God, that picture of you and Arnold broke the internet. It was so great, and you've had it. And you just are like, oh, I guess I'll post it.
Yeah.
Who comes by and sparks your like fandom, in the sport? I'm sure like in the comic world you can fanboy up real quick, but like in the sport, is there even anyone that kind of is like, oh my God?
I mean, I can't even really say that, because I say it was in phases. Okay. I mean, I think like everybody, when I knew who your dad was, I mean, that was like, when I'm a kid, that's awesome. Okay. I knew about that. I mean, as a kid, think about that. I was reading my dad's muscle magazines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then Arnold comes along, and then I really liked Frank Zane. You know,
Right, it's completely different.
I like his physique, but to get to actually talk to him, I remember after the '78 Olympia, and my dad and mother and I, we just casually go up to Frank's room, and he's just having a bunch of friends over, celebrating, sitting around, talking, and it's just
after he won the Olympia.
Yeah.
Holy crap! Wow, that's amazing.
And I'm just sitting there with everybody else, and and I mean, but it's been over the years. I mean, which is just the way everything. I mean, I've known Franco. I know stuff. Everyone always says you got to write a book, and I'm like, I could write a book. I remember dinners with my father, Arnold and Franco's a total prankster.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, he was. Yes. Yeah. I mean, we could tell Franco stories. My dad and I will just sit around and just talk about the old stories, different things, but I mean, he was great. Of course, Lee Haney. I mean, love Lee Haney.
Right. I mean, he's just the greatest person ever.
Right. But then like, I remember Jay and Branch battling it out at the teen nationals.
Oh, wow.
I actually have those pictures.
Man, that's wild.
So I don't know if I could actually say that there's somebody that I like so many. People always say, do you get excited for shows? And I'm like, well, I always get excited for my father's show. Always get excited for the Arnold. Really always excited for the Olympia. I mean, like you said, there's people, I'm still a fan too. Listen, this is my 35th year doing this. If I wasn't more than just a work, I have to be a fan, right?
It's literally my life. I've been alive for 35 years. It's so wild.
Yeah. So about how crazy that is, right?
Yeah. Wow. But it's cool too to be able to see all the different generations. Like I was saying before, some people have only looked at one time period, and it kind of makes you, and yeah, you can have your favorites, of course, and I'm sure you do have your favorite. You have your favorite people, favorite physiques, but not until you've seen the whole, like, it's really just like the evolution kind of bodybuilding. Can you really kind of look at it from a whole and really say, like, I really like this and I really like that? You've only been alive since, Phil's been Mr. Olympia. You can't really, I mean, you can say whatever you want. Social media, people say whatever they want, but your opinion really doesn't, I don't know. It's like, it's different. It's like, it's the same people that compare LeBron and Jordan, and they do it with me and my dad. They're always forever going to do it because it's just in us to compare, but things are so different in each one of those generations. And there's so much time apart. Like me and my dad is over 40 years. There's so many things different about the world between me and him, let alone in the sport. So it's got to be a really cool and again rare thing to be able to have watched all of them and then be able to say, right, I really like this and I really like that. Yeah, rare.
I mean, that's why the throwback I put up last week was the picture from the local newspaper of my dad winning the 1973 Mr. Pennsylvania.
All right, I saw that. God.
Because you know what? There are a lot of new competitors, and I've heard this so much. They have no clue that my father was an actual competitor.
Yeah, you know what? Someone said that to me too, that they didn't know that your dad was really the main announcer. So a couple of my friends, we went back and watched some really old, it was still after Wayne, but you could hear your dad on the mic calling the poses, and I'm like, that's him. And they really just don't know. It's so wild. Yeah. But you know what? The only time I've ever heard it myself, I never heard your dad calling my name wasn't until New York.
Right.
Because he announced that, because it's really Steve's show. So he's not doing that.
But he used to do the Arnold, the Olympia, everything. Yeah.
Right. Really the only two voices I know are him and Wayne, calling out the shots. It's so wild. But again, right, but they don't know, and I used to get really frustrated. I'd be going off on people on social media, and it's just
Wait, you going off on somebody? No, not you.
That was senior, not junior. But yeah, I have to remind myself, and too, it's more I try and like educate them now, and I'll people to kind of go back and look at some old things. I was talking to Dan. He was talking to me about, what's some cool things to bring back to the Olympia, after he's taking it over. And he's again, another fan. Fans running shows are the best thing for the sport. And Dan is a huge fan. And I was telling him just the entrances for the Olympias, how they used to come out, remember when Jay came from underneath the ground? And and then the O used to spin. And I know we're not in the Mandalay Bay, but the old entrances and stages were just another level. And I think that was really cool. But reason why
when Ronnie came out with the crown and the
oh my God. Well, he came out first through the crowd with Bruce Buffer in the Rocky outfit. That was, which the entrance took like 10 minutes itself. Him trying to make his way through the crowd, just to then change into the Lion King crown. But yeah, right, exactly. But what I was bringing up is the Battle of the Olympias. A lot of these people don't remember those DVDs or even just those getting into it. And it was really a good way because I remember I couldn't afford everyone's DVD, so being able to grab that one and you kind of got all of them, it was a really good thing. And it's, it sucks. I don't even know if DVDs even exist anymore, but I think that would be really cool to be able to do too, because that's something lost too, that people aren't able to watch all of them getting ready for the show. You have to watch each one's YouTube individually.
Right.
But another thing lost and gone before people even got into the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, let's jump back to, so now you leave Columbus and you head to Australia.
Right.
Then all hell breaks loose.
So I got word that things might be canceled right when I was like at the airport. So I already had an idea, but I'm like, man, I'm going to keep prepping. And I did that whole 17-hour flight, eating my food that I brought and trying to make it last for the 17 hours. And then I got there and then we found out it was canceled. So we were able to come back right away if we wanted to. But the plan was, because a lot of people don't know, I took the year off before to go all out for the Arnold. So I really hadn't done anything for a year and a half of just dieting. So me and my family, we for sure wanted to do a trip after the Arnold anyway, after the Australia. So we had already had a trip planned to go to Queensland. So once we got there, and for people that don't know, Queensland's like the Miami Vegas of Australia. It's really, it's now my new favorite part of Australia. And where Melbourne, where the Arnold is more like Chicago, New York, more metropolitan area.
Yeah, they don't realize that it's topsy-turvy.
Yeah, completely.
From us.
And so we got there, and then it was canceled. So we're like, man, screw it. You know what? We'll go to Queensland anyway and just enjoy that trip. And we ended up going there the day before they closed their borders. So once we got there, then I was stuck there.
Right.
And it worked out. It really worked out so perfect, because now I'm stuck again in like Miami Beach, rather opposed to being stuck in like a rainy like city. And everyone's cool, but it rains all the time, and there's really no like beaches, like a lot of beaches. So I was really happy to be stuck there. And then when I started to look for flights to come back, because it's my dog's here, and I definitely wanted to get back, I saw all the gyms got closed. So then I was just like, man, I think I would lose my mind if I flew back, because I was able to train there and really because they're just different about things there. And I know you've been there, but for the people watching, like, they just kind of really about the people and kind of like just nature, and they're really good about being healthy, and they're not twisted with politics and worrying about stuff like that. So they didn't have any cases, really. I never saw a mask until I came back on the flight, because they forced you to wear one. Otherwise, they're just they barely had any cases, and they were really clean about it, and they're really good about kind of keeping everyone safe, that I just had no clue about it. So I would have lost my mind if I came back and I was now stuck in California, which was one of the worst, Southern California.
Right, exactly.
Yes, and all the gyms are closed. So then I was like, well, I might as well just stay. And then that's when there was no more flights again for 3 months. It was just nuts. So of course now I wanted to get back, and now I can't. So again, it's so hard to like, oh my God, I was stuck in Australia. Like, oh, so
everyone's like, okay,
right. But no, right. I can't ask for I guess a better opportunity to miss the it was the most extreme part of the corona that I missed.
Right.
And I got back and things were horrible too, but it was good. It was good while I was out there. And I was able to meet Aaron Politis. I never met him before. He's a 212 bodybuilder. He's done the Olympia. It placed really well his first time in the top 10. And because Melbourne and Queensland are so far from each other, you literally have to take a plane. I never met any of the Queensland bodybuilders.
Okay.
And the other one was Sam Pierce. And I was able to meet them and kind of get close with them and train with them. So now they're like my brothers, and I'm so glad that I was stuck there and was able to reach out to them, and they just kind of took care of me. And none of this would have ever happened, you know, if I didn't go. And it was cool too. I helped Tony out, put that show on. You're talking about the show in Michigan. So what Tony did, because in Australia too, they are way harsher about their laws. So what he had to do is he had to secretly put that show on, and he didn't announce where the show was. He just got a warehouse, and he told all the competitors, but literally did not announce it publicly until the day up. So by the time the authorities would have found out, they would have tried to close it down. The show would have been over. It was really, really genius. And again, you know, just a proof that, man, people are going all out for this, for the athletes, because what did Tony really get out of that? He didn't get a pro card, you know. They're losing their money. Everyone's losing money this year. No one's making it. So that was cool. I was able to help promote that and did some things at his gym, and I was at that show, and it was really cool. But yeah, it really made me appreciate home, though. You know, being away from the States, you do appreciate a lot.
So it was fun, but then you got that experience also.
Yeah, right. So I can take plenty of.
Is that the longest you've been out of the States for one single time?
Yeah, because I moved to Australia for my ex-wife when I was married to an Australian, and that was still shorter than the amount of time that I was out there. So yeah, this was the longest time I was ever stuck out of the country. Okay.
So let's talk about, all of a sudden, it starts showing up on social media, picture of you on the beach with some, I don't know if it was a beach patrol or a lifeguard on a.
It was the cops. Yeah, it was their cops. Yeah, they're. And I posted it just to show, because we never know what's really going on, and the media make money off of us watching. And, you know, for us to be just 100% kind of just influential by these people, it's just very not smart. And here I am having a perfect example where I know they're lying. And yeah, I was the headline news video and picture of how they were cracking down on social distancing, and they were being so tough. And obviously this news is to scare people, you know, it's trying to make people detour from what they want to do. And the whole conversation was about bodybuilding. They literally came up to talk to me about different pros, and he even knew Kai Green's name, was like, you know. But first, when they were walking up, I was like, oh my God, are they about to kick us off? You know, I was like, Gee, this is going to suck. And then as soon as he like said Kai Green's name, I was like, that's it. I'm in. Like, this is amazing. So no, they just wanted to shoot the shit, and they wanted to talk about bodybuilding. And then they left. And then luckily I got so many messages from people saying I was on the news that I was able to catch it. Otherwise, I would have never known. I just thought I had a conversation with them.
Yeah, talk about that total spin for the media, for what they did with that.
Right, exactly. It makes sense why there was 2 cameramen filming a conversation about bodybuilding. You know, it all made sense later.
Yeah, yeah, so, absolutely.
Oh yeah, all countries are full of it. That's really was the.
That is true. I don't think anybody can say that they're not.
Yeah, right.
So.
But of course, I would be on the news.
Of course, it goes with the flow.
Yeah.
All right. So another thing we talked about in Columbus was your nutrition company, and you were just kind of getting it going. How's everything going with that right now?
Yeah, I mean, of course, you know, I don't think really.
I know it's tough, but I mean.
Right, but it's not doing bad, you know. And I really, even me and my business partner, are kind of like, well, of course, we open it up, and then the Arnold gets canceled. That's when we were going to launch it.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, of course, now we're going to try and get on it after the Arnold. And now it's Corona, like serious quarantine. But no, it's really, there's been so many people really supportive of it. And I think too, nowadays, a lot of athletes are wanting to just support or even just trust other athletes doing their own line.
Right.
You know, and that's what I was even talking about, Fuad Abiad and, you know, John Meadows and a few people.
Right.
Once you've been sponsored by every company in the world, like me, you know, you also tried everything, you know, and I've worked at Vitamin Shop and GNC, so I've just tried every supplement. So when you have an athlete who makes something, you know that they kind of are just cutting through a lot of the BS and putting what you really do use and need.
Right.
And I think that's going a long way nowadays.